Okay, I got the boat over by the shop again, and I've just been eyeballing it and figuring out what's wrong, trying to figure out what's wrong for about an hour. And I actually came up with some answers. Not really that good of an answer, but anyway, there is a combination of things going on here. One of them being that this panel, this top rail in the front there being pretty severely overbent. But that's not the worst problem, or the core of my 1-inch rise on that end of the boat, on that side of the boat. The transom is level, with the keel. I had the keel rebent because I had that 3/16 gap back here. Between here and here I had a 3/16 difference from side to side, with the left side being lower. So back here it's square, and the transom is square. So that's CNC cut, fits the transom. It sucked down nicely into it. It's even with it. And I can actually say the same about these outer hull sections. They match the transom. The corner matches up in the back. Part of that is because the welds, the tack welds suck it up. But when you assemble this, your engine bearers aren't in here. You got this upside down. You tack the outer hull plates to the keel. And when you do that, you're doing it with that flat bar on end to set the angle of the outer hull. So the back of the boat is square. The fab shop fixed that. In a previous video, I showed how the front of the keel is screwed. They weren't able to correct that. So what that's going to do to you, because that flat bar on end is setting the angle of your outer hull plates, is you're simply going to have one side higher than the other. So that being the case, if I had 3/16 back there, just within a few inches, probably had more up to where the edge of this keel is, and then you bring that all the way out to here. Okay, well that's compounding from side to side. So, I don't know if either side was right. What I know is the fab shop made it match the transom angle, the cutout for the CNC cutout in the back. So one, in the front, could have been the right side was right and the left side was low, because that's the way it is now. Right side is higher than the left side. So, but the thing is, when you take that out, even if that's right, you have a rise there. On this side, knowing that it's lower, you have a drop. Well, if it's 3/16 back there on the keel, what do we have up here? 1/2 inch? Okay, and on the other side, don't know if it's right, might have been overbent high. Don't really know. But the difference from side to side, from the outside edge to this outside edge, is going to be exacerbated by the length extension. So when you're putting this together, you got your flat bar on the bottom, sets the angle, and before you put these engine bearers in, the instructions say to put that crossbar in. Measure the width. Okay, so you got it blocked up, you got your crossbar in, your width is right. Well, that doesn't set the height of each side. You're just blocked up evenly on four blocks. Okay, your height difference starts there. That's where that comes from. Okay, then you set in your engine bearers. Or no, excuse me. you pull the front together, if I'm recalling right. So you take your outer hull panels. They're laying flat out in the front. You pull them together. You tack them to the front of the keel evenly. Okay, evenly in this case is higher on one side than the other, and between the outer edges, possibly an inch. Okay, so you pull your front end together. You just tie it in your front end. And secured your twisted hole, your uneven twisted hole. And I can stand back and I can see the difference between the right side up there and the left side. Now, for whatever reason, when I put that lid on, where I cut the bulkhead and I set it in the bottom there, this is an attempt to try and fix it or correct for it somehow. I thought I could use that bulkhead cutout as a guide to straighten out the front of the bottom of the hull. When I did that, that edge right there was even with the side of the boat, and that chine was at the bottom of that CNC cutout there on the bulkhead. So when I went to put the lid on, I had this side pretty even and this side sticking out, the hood sticking out here. Had to put a lot of pressure here to pull this out to match the hood and then bring it together. So right now it's pretty well matched, but I don't know if the camera picks up that screwed up bend right there. So on top of all that, this is overbent. It still needs to be pulled up, which is going to put more down pressure on this side. But it appears that pressure transferred to the other side and it's just pushing it up. Now where you can account for how things are under torque and they move, what I do know for a fact is that keel screwed this boat. This boat will never be square and right until you take this whole boat apart and get the keel straightened out and do a complete reassembly. 'Cause right now it doesn't matter if I break those engine bearer welds and try and reassemble the front end. One side's higher than the other. Thought, well, maybe I could take out that brace, cut the engine bearer welds on the outer side, it would loosen up the hull, But even then, my starting point is that keel. So whatever I do, when I pull that pressure off, I don't know which way things are going to twist. It might just go the same direction they're going now. Maybe all these things are holding it from going even further. To where if I pulled that stuff off, maybe I'll have 1.5 inches or 2 inches on this side. So if I'm going to build this boat, I'm just stuck. I don't have a good option other than tearing the whole thing down to square one, dealing with the keel angles, try and find a shop that can fix the front of the keel. They could on the back, but you got a nice big flat spot there, to support and secure the keel while you rebend one side, and you only got 5 inches on the outer edge to bend. By the time you get up to the front, you don't have that. You're talking about literally making a jig to try and get in a press, and the jig being stronger than this metal, obviously, and trying to conform that keel to your jig and rebend it and conform it to the right shape from front to back. This is RSR, this is RS Racecraft. This is their bends. And the problem is right there. That's why this height difference. That's why the boat's twisted and higher on one side. It starts at the keel and it carries out all the way through the whole build. You know, I had someone online say, well, you know, your tacks on the keel were too heavy and it warped the metal. And it's like, really? 10 millimeter to 5 millimeter? You know, with the flat bar, holding it even and still, it warped it out past the flat bar, my tacks? I don't think so. Not even a possibility, if you know anything about, you know, this stuff. So, it looks like it's not correctable. You know, I don't even know if I had that keel out right now, if I could get the job done. You know, it's 10 millimeters thick. I can't do it. You definitely need a large press, and I believe you're gonna have to somehow secure the back square, build a jig for the front, and make that front conform to the jig. You know, while it's sitting on a flat level surface secured in the back. I don't even know how you do that. I'm sure someone would know how to do that, probably, but I think even that fab shop, industrial fab shop, would tell me no guarantees. And they would have to build a jig for the front that matches the angle of the back, which is obviously not a different width, and then try and get it to conform to a jig. That's what your screwed up bent keel does to you. It carries throughout the whole boat. You pull those two together, the front of these outer hull plates, where they meet the keel, the front of the boat is aligned with the keel, edge to edge on the bottom. Left side's lower, right side's higher. That's how you assemble the boat. How do you expect that to carry up? You know, it's going to carry up. As you pull those front together, you're solidifying your twist, even if they're matched. So, yeah, I'm just going to end up with a twisted boat, you know, because this is ridiculous. I considered tearing the damn thing down if they were going to say, yeah, we'll send you a perfect keel, one that's bent right. I would consider it, because I don't want this. You know, I'm probably going to end up with it, but just because I ignored RSR's calls, because I really don't think they can bend crap right, you know, and that's why I'm putting out these videos, just for other people. If you want to buy a boat from RSR, go for it, you know, but unless you want this nightmare, you better check your angles, you get your components. If they're not right, don't even put them in your truck. And if you do, and you actually take it home, fix it before you start tacking things on. Don't trust their bends, you know, because they can't be trusted. I know what the problem is now. I'm really clear and solid on that, you know. And the overbends up there don't help. You know, when you already have a problem that starts at the keel, a major problem, you know, and your bends here being off, this thing's sticking down, you know, this is CNC cut. This seam is matched perfect, right up into the corner. You know, that's the bend. The bend's higher than the metal. The seams don't meet. You know, well, okay, if this bends off, it changes the height of your side. So, I don't know. It's going to be a twisted whole boat. That's what I'm going to be stuck with. You know, I'm probably going to end up trying to jack that sucker up somehow, at least get that even over there in the corner. Possibly try and pop that up and put some sort of an I-beam across there, but you got all your steering crap to put in. You know, you got a bunch of crap that's got to go underneath that dash. You know, and somehow I got to figure out a way to possibly, you know, put something on end straight in there, whether it's I-beam or just some flat stock on end. You know, maybe 2-inch wide by 3/8. It's got to be pretty heavy duty to hold the weight. You know, I mean, when I go to put the windscreen on, I got a screwed up hood. You know, I suppose the windscreen might, you know, as I put the windscreen on, try and pull up the metal to the windscreen. You know, that'll add some rigidity to it. You know, and I might get that to where it looks halfway, kind of at least level, and the windscreen comes back past there. So, you know, maybe that'll cover it up enough to where it won't look so flippin' bad. You know, plus the windscreen's going to be going right over that big dip. You know, and I don't think the hull's going to be, you know, performance is going to be killed or anything. You just don't get a good build, you know, that you're like super happy with. You know, you might get a functional boat, but if hack and whack and functional is, you know, all you're concerned about, I guess don't worry about it. You know, when you start fighting things and your boat's twisting, just keep on going and finish her up.